Our next speaker does this for a living. She makes sure that other people get the exposure that they need. And like all the speakers here today, she runs her own business. She's also has all the normal pressures that we have as people, but then as women, as we said, even more. But she's got a book coming out, and it's also going to be some of the focus of the talk today, to say you mustn't be a twatwaffle. And that's an interesting term that you might not have heard before. And I think it's so critical because social media can be this never-ending pit of keeping us busy, and we end up being a bit of a twatwaffle. So Tamsin, it's really a privilege to have you on board. It's been wonderful to see your growth and success over the last few years. And I know that you impact so many other people's marketing messages so profoundly. And therefore, we really have the right person here today for you to learn from. So Tamsin, thank you for joining us. And explain twatwaffle.
Yes, we're going to be saying twatwaffle a lot in the next 20 minutes. That is the aim. And by the end of today, if it isn't part of your vocab, we have some questions to ask. So I'm just going to get going here. I'm really excited to share this chat with you. And maybe just to give you a little bit of history, this is my second baby. My first baby would tell you that he's turning 5 in October. And it really is because of him that I started having the idea of creating a business. At the end of the day, I could not imagine sending a 3-month-old to creche while I went back to my 9-to-5. So I quit while I was on maternity leave and then had to figure out my next steps. He was about 8 months old when Social Happiness was born. And that was my focus, was helping as many business owners get their marketing message out on channels that would work for them and in front of their audiences where they're already spending time. And the rest is a little bit like history, and it's all driven me towards writing this book, where we keep seeing the same hurdles that business owners hit time and time again. And by the time we're looking at social media, which is a channel, a lot of these things almost need to be dealt with and out of your way, so that you can make sure that you really make an impact with your business and you can grow it faster rather than continuously trying different things that aren't working. So I want to give you a couple of tips today on how you can avoid being a twatwaffle and get your marketing thriving. And with that, we need to understand first and foremost what a twatwaffle is. And I love this definition: a complete idiot that mere idiot, dumbass, or imbecile cannot adequately describe. However, to truly earn the title of twatwaffle, you must also attempt to assert authority or expertise where none is had, because we don't know what we don't know. So if we're not sure about what we should be achieving in our marketing, we can't actually get it out there. We can't make sure that we're doing it in the right way possible. And I say this knowing that I am a original twatwaffle myself. I remember my dad's face where at about 18 months of being in business, we were sitting and having a braai, and he was like, oh, so what's your next plan? I was like, I don't know. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I don't have a business plan. His face dropped, and he's an engineer. He's like, how do you not have a plan? How is there nothing in place? And I did mention in the chat earlier, Lindy is my coach, and I'll never forget the first conversation I had with her. I was really chuffed with myself because I just managed to start earning slightly more than what I was being paid working for somebody else. And she sort of just looked at me and went, well, you're not a business owner, you're a freelancer. And I really didn't like that. And it was a good sort of catalyst for getting the business going in this direction. So all of this comes with love, and from an appreciative space of, I've been there. I am a twatwaffle often in my daily life as well. There are things I need to learn to be a better business owner, mom, friend, and it's things that I work on all the time. So what are a couple of the problems that we see that business owners face all the time? And the first one is that we're constantly in search of a silver bullet, which is a great concept, except that if there was such a thing as a silver bullet, everybody would be doing it. We would all be living our best lives on a beach in Bali or in the snow in Alaska, checking out the Northern Lights, if that's your thing. And we would be working and enjoying it, and we wouldn't be having issues and problems the whole time. There is no silver bullet, unfortunately, for our marketing efforts. And we need to just, I think, realize that so that we can move forward. It doesn't mean that there aren't better methods of marketing our business or better channels for us to look at and use. But once we just remove this idea of, I'm going to do something or put up a Facebook post and suddenly I'm going to make 20 sales off of it, then we can move in the right direction. So what can we do instead? It's great to have the problem and highlight that that's the issue, but we need to have a point of action as well. And that is, in this case, defining your true north. And it comes back to having a vision for your business, your life, and then having a mission statement so that you know how you're going to achieve that vision. The vision is really your focus. What is that change that you want to impact, or the life that you want to lead? And your mission being, how are we going to get there? Your plan of action. When you've done this, you make it easier for yourself to assess any opportunities that come your way. Does it align with you, your business, your decisions? And it also makes it so much easier to get other people involved in your business, because they can tap into what it is that you're trying to achieve, and whether they're staff or freelancers or anybody else that you might be bringing to help and assist you, they can see what you're trying to achieve and they can start working alongside your efforts to help you get there. So our second thing that we need to have a look at is, what difference do we make and who do we make it to? Something we see very often is this idea of marketing to anybody and everybody who would buy our product, but they are not our tribe. They're not our ideal target market. They aren't necessarily who we are actually making a difference to and for. We get it into our heads a little bit sometimes, and because we can see the need for our product or service, we forget to align that with who we are actually making a difference to. So how do we do this, and how do we change that mindset? You need to get specific. And one of the best and easiest ways to do this is if you can deep dive into your current client list and have a look to see who has already bought from you, who buys from you often or has bought from you more than once, and start profiling them. If you're still launching a business as a startup, then this is a good place for market research. Talk to as many people as possible. We get in our heads and we don't want to share what it is that we're working on with people, because we have a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes going on. It's very real, and I think everyone experiences it at different times. And there's also sometimes a fear around copywriting, and well, if I start talking about this idea, then somebody else might jump on it before I do. So I think when you do start talking to people, just make sure you're going to follow up that action fairly quickly so that you can also sort that fear out for yourself. And I must say, it's something I started doing with my book. When I was like, I'm writing a book, I probably started telling people about it in the week after I'd been like, oh, I'm writing a book. Didn't quite know what it was going to be about yet or anything, but I did for two reasons. One, I was getting a soundboard back as to whether or not it was a good idea and who that resonated with. But two, I now had an external deadline pressure because I wasn't the only one who knew about it, which means that you have to make it happen. The advantage of doing this is that you're making it easier for people to understand what problem you solve. How do you fit into their lives? We are each the hero in our own narrative, in our own head. And when we can see how a product or service or business or brand, whatever you want to call it, resonates with us and solves an issue, need, or a want that we have, we can see why we'd want to buy from them. The third problem we often see is that there isn't a plan. You know, there's an idea, we need to market, here's the business, this is what we do. Maybe there's some sales targets, which is really great because then you know what you're working towards, but there's no marketing plan as such. And just that little bit of time to develop a plan makes the world of difference, because without it, it means that you are shooting in the dark and you're hoping that something is going to work and land, rather than actually being able to assess and measure and test your different efforts and figure out what works for your brand and business and what doesn't, and what you can leave behind. So what you can do instead is build a plan that you would like to execute with some rollouts, timelines, and focus on where your ideal target market or your tribe already spends time, rather than trying to convert people who are not necessarily going to buy from you just off the bat. They could come later and that's great. But for now, we want to focus on those people who are already going to buy from you fairly easily. A great advantage of this, and I'm just saying it because we get busy and life happens, and I mean, if your child is sick, this is something I deal with, it almost puts like a whole stop to your business because you've got to take the day out and deal with things like that. But if you've got a plan, it doesn't matter what else happens. At any point in time, you can keep coming back to that plan and going, okay, what's next? What was that next step that I wanted to take? What do I need to do to execute something in our next step, rather than having to go back to that drawing board time and time again and restart your marketing journey and not have a true direction as to what it is that you want to do. And this is one that I see time and time again. Your website is always going to take longer than you plan for it to take. Even when you're talking to a web developer and they say, oh, it's fine, we'll get this knocked out in the next month for you. That's an estimate. They can't guarantee it because there's a number of different things that impact your website development or rebrand. And a lot of it actually comes from us. If you speak to any web developer and you ask them what is the biggest problem in what you do on a day-to-day basis, they're all going to tell you that it's content, getting the content out of their clients so they can build the website. But without the words, actually, they can't build a structure around what it is that they need to do and develop. They can maybe get a couple of pictures together, the colors, the fonts, your logo, but a lot of the work waits and waits and waits until they get that content. So we're relying on service providers to get the visions that we have in our heads out, rather than spending the time just going, what is it that I want to achieve here, and getting that down so that we can hand the work over and they can do what they're really good at, which is putting everything together in a way that works for the search algorithms, for your people who are looking to buy from you at the end of the day. So what you can do is come to the party and build as much information as you can for your service provider so that they can get the job done in a time frame that works for you, them, and your business. Your process will be far less frustrating and faster than it could have been if you don't do this. I think the fastest project we've ever worked on was 2 weeks, but I must say that business owner, when he sat down, he was like, right, I'm hiring you. He knew exactly what was going on that website and what he wanted. So it was very easy to deliver the end results. We actually did a second website for him about a year later, and that one took 3 months, because there was another business partner involved who wasn't sure what he wanted, and it just slows the process down. And I mean, you don't have to know your exact placements and everything, but just your base message, what it is that you want to do, who your target market is, all of those things speed up the process so much. And then often as business owners, we can't see the wood for the trees. You've popped up a post on Facebook, for example, and you're sitting there waiting for the likes and the engagement and the reach and the sales. And we're so focused on these little activities that we do that we forget about the bigger picture of our entire business. And we are often so busy servicing our clients that we forget about checking in on our momentum and what it is that we're doing. And when we don't do this, we can't focus in on, okay, what's next? Where's that opportunity? What am I missing? Where can we be performing better? All of these things impact your marketing, because any external touch point of your business with the public is a marketing touch point and can affect how you're being seen in the wider world. So it's important to keep tabs on it and just assess every now and again how everything is going. So taking time away from working directly with your clients makes a huge, huge difference. And I must say, ActionCOACH does this very well. They have a growth club every 3 months. That's my definite tap in time. You need to do it more frequently than that, and I do, but it's so wonderful to take an entire day out and actually plan things and look at things and assess and talk to people and get ideas. Absolutely wonderful. You'll be able to keep a better eye on your progress and plan your way forward if you do this. And I know sometimes it feels like we don't have enough time in our day, and especially with kids, my recommendation there is 5 o'clock wake ups are great because the house is still quiet and you can actually hear yourself think before the emails and the phone calls and the kids and everything else. So that's my little tidbit there, is become a member of the 5 a.m. club. So these are a couple of the issues that I handle in Don't Be a TWATWAFFLE. We're covering 15 different marketing mistakes that we see time and time again, and that just create blocks in your flow and process as far as your marketing of your business. And I'm very excited to say that the pre-sales are officially open and we're launching in October. We are probably a week away from finishing editing. And yeah, I'm very excited. I've got some emails in my inbox I saw come through from this morning of like printing prices and everything. So we are there. And you are more than welcome to go and have a look and see if you would like to order a copy. So the background for the book, just quickly, I've got over 10 years of experience in both traditional and digital marketing. I've specialized into digital, but I do believe in a good holistic approach to your marketing because you never know what's going to happen in the world. COVID showed us that it helps to be online because everybody was going to be at home, but who knows what happens next? I mean, if the internet drops one day because, well, the sea cables all get chewed up, you want to make sure that you're on billboards and your car is branded and, things like that as well. So just always remember to have a good holistic approach as well. And we've worked with a number of startups, small to medium businesses. My background is in franchise marketing as well. And I really want to look at addressing different marketing issues that we see happen time and time again. So what are we covering? The marketing problem, the what and the why of the problem, because it's good to know what the problem is and why it's a problem. Again, we don't know what we don't know. And then each chapter has an actionable to-do list to help move you forward in each topic that is being discussed. Yeah, thank you. Questions?
Good. So any questions, you can type them in for Tamsin, and we'll definitely hear the questions. Maybe let's start with some of those mistakes. Obviously, the book will go into all 15 of them, but what's some of the biggest mistakes that you see with people coming to you and wanting you to create that silver bullet, where they're going wrong to start?
So I think the first 5 that I've covered are ones that we see all the time, but even another one which we deal with fairly often as well is, when is your content good enough? When is your marketing message good enough? And sometimes we actually just need to go, you know what, it has to go out, because if you're going to keep cycling round and round and round, you would never end up saying anything to anybody. So rather, at some point, you've got to call it, okay, 70 or 80% is good enough, and that's fine, especially when it comes to social media. Each post only lives for a very short period of time. With a LinkedIn post lives the longest, about a week, but a tweet lives for 8 minutes. So unless you're Elon Musk, how much effect is that one tweet going to make? And I mean, going viral is great, but it's not a marketing strategy. You need to have your ducks in a row for when that happens, and you can capitalize off of it.
So, question from Amy: any advice for aspiring social media marketing manager?
I think your best bet is have a good structure for yourself, so that you can, if you're managing other clients, or even if it's one client, you've got a structure and you've got a process that makes the world of difference, because social media really is a churning, crunching, content hungry machine that needs to be fed often. And if you don't have structure, you create chaos for yourself.
Okay, good. We'll get to that other one now. So any trends you're seeing on social media? If you look at social media as a marketing platform, what are some of the trends that you're seeing? New trends?
One of the, well, not necessarily a new trend, but one that always has business owners diving under a desk and not wanting to be seen is you're going to need to get on video, because Facebook is very much reacting to TikTok and its market takeover in some ways. And we are seeing a bigger and bigger influence on video the whole time. And if you really don't like your face on video, just start filming yourself and get comfortable. I will tell you a little secret there. If I do video clips, I record and I don't look at it. I send it to my team and I'm like, please put that up for me. I don't need to review it. I've said my say, but there are also other ways that you can create video content without your face being in it. So just, think about creatively.
So I think interesting question from CJ, because it's not marketing related per se. It's a little bit of advice on writing a book. So CJ was thinking about it in February this year. You've gone and done it, and the book's about to be coming out. So what advice would you have to somebody around writing a book?
So I think some of the best advice I can give you is one fantastic reading opportunity on writing by Stephen King. Absolutely fantastic. It's sort of part biography, but also very good tips. And I really suggest doing it. I've had people tell me to read it ahead of the editing process in particular, because there's a whole concept of kill your darlings. So there's things as an author that you might be like, oh, this is absolute gold. It's not necessarily going to be the best for your target market at the end of the day. So that was important. But don't aim for perfection, I think is important, because otherwise, again, you'll never finish it. I ended up writing the entire thing, and then I almost wanted to go back and sort of rewriting chapters 1, 2, and 3, because I'd felt that my writing style had changed. And I actually stopped myself and I went, you know what, that's the editor's job. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep cycling and I'm never going to get to it. And I think give yourself a deadline, because without a deadline, you could, in 8 years' time, you could still be telling people that you're writing a book and you've done 2 chapters.
Absolutely. The deadline's important. how did you go, and what was that biggest mental switch from freelancer to business owner?
I'll do the first F-bomb. Fuck that. I was like, I don't want to be a freelancer. I want to be a business owner. So that was the mental switch. And I think I very quickly went, that's great and all, but to this point, I only know how to be a freelancer or employed by somebody else. I don't know how to be a business owner. I don't have a business degree. I've got a marketing degree, but not a business degree. I loved what Leanne was saying about, your people who you have in your business need to complement you and cover the things that you don't do well. So I was like, well, I need somebody who can help teach me about vision. I know I need someone who can help me on operations. And actually, my operation manager, Carmen, is here today as well. So, I mean, she really does keep me sane and make sure that our cogs keep working. And it was very much like, okay, well, that's what I want to do, but now I need to go and learn what that looks like. And for me, it was choosing to have a coach made the world of difference because I didn't already have that background.
Okay. So Bernally asks a question that I think a lot of people face. There's so many courses out there where we can upskill ourselves on social media, albeit it's not our forte. Yet there's also so many talented people there that hopefully know more about it than what we do. So do it yourself? Do you hire somebody? Do you outsource it to a company like yours? What would be your advice to people in business looking at this daunting thing called digital marketing, which includes social media marketing?
So I treat us like a client. I don't even run our own marketing. And by that, I mean, I'm involved in it. I'm the thought leader behind it. I tell my team, these are our goals. This is what we're working towards. This is the kind of messaging I want to do. But I don't personally create every piece of content because I need to focus on making sure our clients are served well. So our product or service is well delivered, and that I'm always looking to what's next and how are we building the business? What do we need? So whether you outsource it or hire somebody to do it, I don't think the business owner should be doing it themselves, but I think you need to know what's going on so that you know what the right questions are to ask. Otherwise, you're trusting somebody else to just run with it, and it ends up running next to your business, but not with your business.
Absolutely. Tamsin, thank you very much. There's a few more questions. Maybe if you can, during the next speaker, just respond to Google, because I think it's a complicated question. What time is the best to post on social media? I think it depends. And then also just type in the Stephen King book again for everybody's benefit. But thank you so much. I think so many great insights, and that there is no silver bullet. One needs to have that direction and then do what's necessary. So I really appreciate that.